Okay, so Cardiff. They've just come up from the Championship. Their owner, Vincent Tan, the Malaysian, he's got £700 million to his name. He is one of the top 10 richest Malaysians in the world, and any club who's got a top 10 richest person, for whatever country it is, has got to have money. He promised they'd spend between £25 and £30 million this year on new players, and they haven't disappointed. They have signed some big players, not just in terms of money as well, in terms of reputations and in terms of the way they play and how they're known. I'm talking about players like Andreas Coriolanus, the £7.5 million signing from Copenhagen. I'm talking about Stephen Corker, the England under-21 defender, signed for £8 million from Tottenham, from Spurs, and Gary Medel, the known as the Pitbull, I believe, signed from Sevilla for £11 million. Now Medel is going to sit in front of that back four defence as a defensive midfielder. He's going to mop up all the trouble, and he's going to not let the attackers of the opposition teams get anywhere near his defenders. Talking about his defenders, Stephen Corker, tall, strong, good in the air, can also see the danger and mop it up before it gets too dangerous. He's a brilliant signing. Andreas Coriolanus, he's an unknown quantity really. He's come from Copenhagen, which is in Denmark, so he's come from the Danish league. £7.5 million is a lot of money, but if he steps up, you know, they say you're only expensive if you don't play well, as I'm sure Kaká found out when he moved to Madrid. I think he could do very well. He's sort of in the same boat as Wilfried Boney for Swansea, in the sense that if he plays well, he's going to be a massive success. If he doesn't, the fans are going to be screaming for his head. But that's not really his fault. At this point, I'd like to talk about the players they've sold, but they've only let Heide Helguson and Stephen McPhail go. Two sort of older players coming to the end of their prime, not quite good enough for the Premier League. But they've also kept hold of all of the good players that helps them get up into the Premier League. Being a Plymouth Argyle fan myself, I look at the likes of Craig Noone, I look at the likes of Joe Mason that have helped them go up into the Premier League, and I know they're good players. I'm sure they'll get their chance in the Premier League. It'll just take a while for some injuries to kick in, so that the squad players start getting in, and we start seeing the strength and depth that Cardiff has. I mean, they didn't get promoted for nothing. So that's pretty much it. I think the only other player I've got to talk about is Peter Odemwingie and John Brayford. Brayford did really well for Derby last year. They've got a young team, by the way, in a building, but that's for another time. So they've picked out John Brayford, realised they needed just to strengthen a little bit more in defence, and they've put him in there. And Peter Odemwingie, not really worked out for him, his footballing career, since last January, when he famously drove to QPR without having permission. But he's finally got to move away. He's gone to Cardiff now, and I think that's really going to help them, because he's just going to have a bit of experience. He's just going to be able to calm down that front line and give it a little bit of a cutting edge when they need it. Apart from that, they've done really well, good signings. They've spent the money they promised to. I think they're going to stay up, I really do, because they've signed talent which is Premier League talent, but as we saw with QPR last year, that doesn't always work out. But thanks for watching, guys.